Oh. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Wasting away again in Margarita. Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. Everybody's talking about it. Oh. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. All right, let's have everything go off without a hitch, shall we? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shit. Oh. Calm down. Calm down. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? All right. I apologize for that. My goodness, today's been a long day. Hope everybody's doing well. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? I've had several things going through my mind at once. Michelle Goldberg, do you know her? She's crazy, like pretty much the most leftist writer. Is she with the New Yorker? She is with New York Times. And she's pretty much like just nuts. And she's a good nuts progressive. She was on the Fifth Column podcast today, which is a podcast I just told you about yesterday with Camille Foster and Matt Welch and Michael Moynihan, that I've been a little down on recently. When sometimes they just go freaking nerf soft on guests. And Michelle Goldberg is a quack, crazy progressive who like talks about anxiety and mental health because of Trump and this and that. And they really should have laid her to waste a little bit. I understand you don't want to just beat the crap out of somebody for a while, but I mean for an hour, but they ceded much too much territory. And I only mention this because they've done it before with Olivia Nuzzi, because Olivia Nuzzi is hot, I guess. They were really nice to her and deferential to her a few years ago. And I was like, come on, dude. But eventually they did push back because towards the end of the interview, Michelle Goldberg, she calls Trump a fascist. And so all these people call Trump a fascist. I was, my town, I think probably your town too. All these yard signs say, like, no to fascism. My favorite thing is in Newburyport yesterday. I was walking, and there's a peace garden, and it said, "Peace garden for the victims of the war in Iraq, for the soldiers, both men and women, and the civilians killed." So in other words, like that peace garden is F you George W. Bush and like that's, I get it. Progressives are so effing angry. They're so effing angry. It's freaking incredible. They pretend they're not. They're so effing angry. Like, they'll be fine. All it is about being angry, because they don't really care about what happens to people. They pretend they do, so that justifies how they can be angry dickheads. They think that they're doing something, that they're really being good people. And so making declarations about themselves and about their purity and about their nobility gives them license then to be the a-hole that they really are, which you've seen way too much. If you live in a blue state, you see it all the time. But here's Michelle Goldberg, and I think this is interesting because Michael Moynihan tightens the noose on her here and allows her to do a little bit of hanging herself. She's supposedly an intellectual, writer for the New York Times, she's one of these people who, women especially of means, read, college-educated women, and it makes them pop SSRIs quicker than almost anything, because it's the vaunted New York Times. It's like NPR, too. Oh, my goodness. They're telling me how bad things are. But I want to play this. This is just a little bit of the exchange of those guys. We'll get to Mike Vrabel and the incredibly adept hit job on him and his girl. I am not this fat, by the way. This video is a lie. Not this fat. Alice even admitted that I have lost weight. And she made out today, which tells me that she wouldn't let a fat guy do that. All right, ready? Where is it? Okay, here it is. This is them asking her about using the term fascist. That's unfortunate. No, sorry. It's potted down.
It's a fascist movement.
Sorry.
There are a lot of people who are fascists, I think, in
generation of conservatism.
But you argued a long time ago, the first administration, that, and you've used the word here today, but fascism, that Donald Trump is a fascist, it's a fascist movement. There are a lot of people who are fascists, I think, in this universe, the people that you've interviewed, you've talked to, who really hate Donald Trump because they don't think he's a fascist. Like, he's pro-Israel. He's sitting there with Bibi. His son-in-law is this horrible horned Jew. It's how they literally talk like this about these people. How do you make sense of that you've called him a fascist for a long time? The fascists that I think are actual fascists say he's not, right? Because he doesn't have the precepts of fascism, which is, number one, hating Jews, right? How do you make the case that Donald Trump's a fascist?
Okay, I have a hard out soon. So this is like a long conversation, but I will try to do it quickly.
Yeah. We'll come back for part two another time.
I think that I don't know that hating Jews.
By the way, a-hole move, by the way. I have a hard out soon, right? When the question, finally somebody's pushing her. Oh, dickhead.
Is necessarily a precondition for fascism because, I think that you could make an argument that Meir Kahane or, certainly Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are fascists.
They're racist for sure.
Yes. And I think Donald Trump is very clearly a racist.
Of course.
I think
not all racists are fascists, right?
And I think, but anyway, my definition of fascism, if you read like The Anatomy of Fascism by Robert Paxton or I'm trying to think of what's the other one by, I'll come back to it in a minute, but like The Anatomy of Fascism, there's another one.
Just answer the question, overeducated, pseudo-intellectual.
It is paleogenetic ultranationalism, which is the sort of like essential fascist idea is the nation rising phoenix-like from a...
Shut the F up, you dumb broad. I'm so sick of this. I am so sick of this. Like, using, $7 words to escape to because you can't say that somebody's a fascist. Now, they asked her, by the way, earlier in the interview about the Totenkopf tattoo, and she's like, I've never heard of it. I don't know on Grand Platinum. But here she is, like, just admit that you're a psycho with a small brain that's got all sorts of credentials, and you effing hate Trump, and so you're going to force him into the brand fascism because it makes you feel good. And that's just another way of saying he's totally unacceptable, and it's unacceptable for anybody to like him. Do you understand? And it's a way to tell you and me we're not allowed to like him no matter what. He's just a fascist.
Period of decadence that has almost destroyed it. But again, there's, Robert Paxton talks about, and these are people who I think.
What do you mean, lady?
In terms of ideology instead of structure, that there are certain fascist beliefs about decadence, nationhood, regeneration, the cleansing power of violence, that, you can just, if you'd been reading this stuff, and I'd read all this stuff before Donald Trump, because I wrote a book in 2006 about Christian nationalism, that then Donald Trump comes on the scene and it's like ding, 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 right? He's kind of checking every box. Robert Paxton, for example, who again is kind of like the expert.
Why are you calling Trump a fascist? Dummy. Answer the question, dummy. I thought you had a heart out, so maybe some expediency would be good.
on fascism, for a long time didn't believe that Donald Trump was a fascist because I guess the two conditions or the two things that are typically present in fascism are a kind of paramilitary street force and foreign policy expansionism. Not always is foreign policy expansionism, but typically associated. So Robert O. Paxton decides after January 6th that, like, I hadn't called him a fascist before, now I do. I think that in this administration in particular, if
the fascists usually say go peacefully.
Those were the two things that were kind of, if those were your two qualms about applying the label fascist to Donald Trump, you have both like ICE acting like a paramilitary force on the street and
that is totally dishonest, and disingenuous. They're not acting like a paramilitary force on the street. They're law enforcement on the street. And when you blow whistles at them and tackle them, then they fight back. And they have to. They weren't looking for attention. I wasn't looking for a problem. They have a job to do, a law enforcement job to do. Nobody at all, anywhere, was wantonly attacked by ICE. Fascists wantonly attack everybody. They beat people down and kick indoors. That's not ICE. You effing...
Clearly, you have this policy of foreign, I mean, not exactly Lebensraum, but like foreign policy expansionism. And so, yeah,
Foreign policy expansionism. What do you mean exactly? Is he taking the Sudetenland? Is he taking other countries? Is he rolling across Europe or North America? He is not. There's nothing to it, but you're an overeducated, psycho, pain in the ass bitch.
I have the fact that that there are other people who are further to the right than Trump or who feel like Trump has not fulfilled all of their hopes
Fascist
and dreams.
dreams.
I don't think that somehow kind of retroactively makes Trump into a Democrat.
I know you have to go, so I don't want to debate the
I have a hard out.
Of fascism in Robert Paxton's book, which I disagree with. And there are people like Richard Evans and Roger Griffiths and Stanley Payne.
Roger Griffiths, that's the one who
Roger
kind of
Griffiths.
talks about the fascist minimum.
Yeah, and he doesn't think Trump is a fascist, and I talked to him about this.
But it's funny because Richard Evans. So Richard Evans. I mean, if you read Richard Evans' essay in the book, Did It Happen Here? Right. So his essay about why Trump isn't a fascist, if I'm remembering correctly, and forgive me if I'm not, Richard Evans. It hinges substantially on those two things, on the lack of a sort of paramilitary street force. This was written before the first term, and the lack of foreign policy expansionism. So, if that is your argument for why Trump is not a fascist, I feel like you should perhaps reconsider.
Yeah, well, the paramilitary, keeping in mind that there were people within the administration, the American public, who disagreed with this and turned one of his most reliable 80-20 issues on immigration against him, and he backed off. Fascists don't do that. The SA never backed off because the people were opposed to it. The people were in favor of what the SA said they were in favor of. So I don't know if that holds, but rather than having that debate because of your time constraints, what I'm always interested in, what is the utility in calling somebody a fascist when fascism is so hard to define that Roger Griffiths actually has a journal of fascism studies, and it's like trying to adjudicate what a fascist is. I mean, it is true that territorial expansionism is a thing within fascism. You see it in Abyssinia with Mussolini in Italy, and then these totally misbegotten invasion of Greece.
And he's naming fascist stuff right now, which is not Trump at all, but she can't answer. She has a hard out.
Yugoslavia and everything. But not so in Spain. Franco didn't do anything beyond his borders and stayed out of. In Pinochet is the same too, and I think that he's a pretty close definitionally a fascist. But so, what is the purpose when it's such a complicated, convoluted word beyond just saying you're the bad guy? Why not just call him an authoritarian? Why not just call him somebody a sort of a dictator in waiting, somebody who's aspirationally totalitarian, whatever it might be? I'm not saying I agree with any of this stuff, but why not that? Why the word fascism?
I mean, why not if you think that word is accurate, right? This is, to me, very similar to the question about genocide in Gaza, right? It's like, there's an argument about kind of does it meet the criteria of genocide laid out by all of these various expert bodies, and that's an argument worth having. The argument of, well, why do you say it because it's so inflammatory is one I guess I have less sympathy for. I mean, to me, I feel like I'm not, if I'm calling Donald Trump a fascist, which is, it's different to say that somebody is a fascist and that you live in a fascist society, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you can be a fascist without having totally consolidated power. It's pretty obvious Donald Trump is not totally consolidated power.
So it's not a fascist government, but a government run by a fascist.
Yes, and I think that's
your distinction.
So in other words, it's not a fascism thing happening. It's not. She thinks he ideologically is a fascist, which of course he's not. The last guy, the last guy, of course, went after Americans, it forced Americans to pay for their for the useless degrees of their other countrymen. He also told people they were Neanderthals if they didn't get a government mandated drug. He wouldn't let people gain employment if they didn't get their government mandated drug. Obama used the IRS to go after his political enemies. Like, stop it, lady. You're a dumb New York, Upper West Side New York elitist. And your guy's not in right now, and you can't just emotionally handle the fact that Trump is there. And so you're couching all of your feelings in a prescription, in a definitional prescription that you're trying to launder into the world to say this guy is not credible, this guy is not okay, this is wrong, it's immoral for anybody to like him. Because you're upset, and all of your writing and all of your stupid podcasts show this. She is a psycho and a pain in the ass, and she, in a second, would be a fascist if she had any power. Absolutely. So that's Michelle Goldberg. She's terrible. Let's see. Where do I want to go next? This is Hassan Piker stuff. I don't care. The Vrabel stuff, there's more pictures of Vrabel. Some of them are AI. Some of them are not. My feeling about Vrabel and Rossini, this lady he's been nailing supposedly, is that somebody's doing a real good hit job on him. They obviously hired a PI. This must have been like roiling somebody for years and years and years, considering they've got some pretty old pictures of him as well, even the ones that aren't AI. Somebody hired a private investigator. I think that she should be tarred and feathered out of society, figuratively, not literally. I think she is a terrible homewrecker for doing this. I do think it's more the problem of the woman. Guys are less. I'm sorry. I think there's a double standard. I think that guys are less. Guys want to nail women and have sex with women. They do, and they should not. Especially if they're married, they should not. But they are wired to do it. And so anything else is a constraint. Women are not wired to be promiscuous. And for her to do this and to like destroy, it's destroying his kid's life in a lot of ways, and his wife, and she looks like a jerk, and her own husband. Like you've given yourself to another dude, and then like he's had his way with you, and then you come home and like make sandwiches for the family and lecture him about like, I don't think the kids should be on screen so much. How dare you? How dare you? I think they should both be out of polite society. I don't like it. You know that. I don't like that. I don't like cheaters. I think that it's awful, especially when somebody is when you're married like that. I just think it's terrible. I've told you stories of people I know who just simply who blew gaskets. And one guy I was talking to just last night who's just not right. And it's something that happened 15 years ago. Molly Ringwald. I should have played this right, but with Michelle Goldberg. Molly Ringwald. This is once again if you have anybody who's talking to you like this, the worst thing about social media is it allows these people to go and talk to the world without a publicist or a lawyer nearby. And it's not great. Molly Ringwald was, she was an actress, Gen X actress in the 80s. She was kind of cute and yada, yada, yada. Good actress for the John Hughes movies she did. But here she is now, and this is what the left really wants to say. She's putting you on notice. If you liked Trump, and I know a lot of you guys do, if you liked Trump, you're going to pay a price for liking him. Remember, Michelle Goldberg, who has a heart out, by the way, Michelle Goldberg told you that it's unacceptable that anybody like Trump. And it's so unacceptable that I'm going to label him a fascist. So, okay, if you like him, just know that you like a fascist. You like Hitler and Mussolini. That's who you like. The same way they use these things to make people verboten. Just like with on the Charlottesville thing. The very fine people on both sides. The Charlottesville thing funded by Democrats. The very fine people on both sides. They were saying to you, even though he disavowed racists 86 times during the press conference, they're saying, no, now you can't like him. Now you can't. They couldn't, on the argument, give you a reason not to support him on policy or anything. So they had to come up with another one. You're not allowed to like him because he's deadly, toxic, Nazi, Klan, that stuff. They're trying to make him as like outlawed and societally unacceptable as like lawn darts, jarts, whatever they are. So no, they're just absolutely terrible, dirty, bad. You can't. No, you're not allowed to like him. Here's Molly Ringwald taking it a little bit further, saying, "Okay, I've tried to warn you. I've used the word fascist, racist, this and that. I've tried to warn you, but if you didn't listen, then you're going to pay a different kind of price."
I don't spend a lot of time doing this, talking to you like this, unless I'm, I don't know, recommending a foundation or telling you to get your kids vaccinated against meningitis. But I feel like I can't.
You know, can I just say something? The moment you tell me what to get my kids vaccinated for, it tells me you're a effing busybody fascist, as a matter of fact.
Stay silent, and neither should you. There's something horrible going on in our country right now. And we have one of the greatest countries in the world. And I've always been so proud to be an American. But right now...
She was not hesitant about moving the hell out of the country to France for a long time.
This is a fascist government.
There we go.
It's not becoming a fascist government. It is a fascist government.
Except for all the violence and all the authoritarianism and all the strongman moves and the press freedom and freedom of movement, and you can say and do anything you want, and in any real fascist place, she would be in jail right now. Other than the fact that it's completely free, and as a matter of fact, more free than it was when Joe Biden was president, it's fascist.
And ICE is brutalizing people. And I don't care how you identify. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're independent.
Yeah, she doesn't care. I'm sure she doesn't care.
If you don't like to be political at all, it doesn't matter. You have to look at what kind of country you want to live in.
Just remember, she's a theater kid who knows nothing. She's a theater kid who knows nothing at all. She has nothing. She has no knowledge to impart to you at all. All she has is, I assume, a whole bunch of psychotropic medication and her own anxiety and her acting ability to try to chill you into being panicked like she is. She's sick of being alone, being panicked, while you're getting on with your lives, you know, watching baseball games, barbecuing, living a life. She's telling you you can't do that.
And I don't think that I need to remind you, just give a little history lesson here quick. But, if you look at what happened in France, where I lived for a few years in my 20s, they were taken over by the Nazis. They were invaded. They were taking over.
Wow. Did you know this? Oh, my goodness. This is a history lesson. Did you know that France wasn't taken over by the Nazis? So she lived there in the 90s. Was it in the 90s? Did you know that? I had no idea. Did you know that? France is being taken over by somebody else right now who she dares not mention.
And a lot of people collaborated. And then there were people that did not collaborate and were part of the resistance.
There were very few who were part of the resistance. The French resistance is something that we'll revisit at some other point.
Eventually, they got their country back. And those people who collaborated...
Oh, hold on. How did they get their country back? How did they get their country back? I know de Gaulle was allowed to march through Paris first, but they didn't get their country back. Lady, we got their country back. They got it back.
Were found to be criminal. And that is what's going to happen. I mean, you should not support what is going on just because...
You hear that?
These are human beings, and we are human beings, and we cannot forget our humanity.
The same law enforcement that happened during Biden, during Obama, the same rounding illegals up, they're illegal, the same way you would apprehend anybody else who's breaking the law and deport them, you can't do. Of course, the only illegal thing that was allowed to do, the extraordinary thing, was opening the border. That was the extraordinary. She didn't say an effing thing about that. That she's fine with.
But if you don't care about that, if you only care about yourself, then realize that you are going to be seen as a collaborationist. Okay? I don't think that...
I was going to call this, I have a heart out, but do we call it collaborationist? It's tough. It's a tough one. Collaborationist. Dumbass theater bozo.
Anybody wants that. I don't think that anybody wants to be on the wrong side of history. So please, please use your
Save me the freaking waterworks, collaborationist.
Voice and protest. These are children. These are children who are being taken away from their parents.
You should not have let them in, dum-dum. This is why we don't do illegal immigration open borders, because tragic things ensue when you do that. That's why you don't do that. This is her and her progressive friends causing chaos and then looking at the chaos and saying, look at them fixing it. Them fixing it seems mean. No. F you, you're the collaborationist. Oh.
These are mothers who are being killed.
What?
These are fathers. These are ICU nurses. These are people.
Maybe you should tell the mothers and the ICU nurses to leave law enforcement alone and not try to drive over them. Dumbass. They're being killed. Oh.
That are good people.
No, you're a bad person, and your side are full of bad people who put these people in harm's way. You got them killed, and now you want to blame somebody else. And you want more people to be killed.
That now their families have to grieve them for doing nothing except for standing up for what's right.
Yeah, standing up for what's right. I've decided now that there's a drunken bar fight on Lansdowne Street, and the cops are dragging people out. I've decided now that I'm standing up for what's right by intervening and trying to get the drunken bar fighters free from the cops. Standing up for what's right. Ugh.
For keeping women from being brutalized by these monsters.
These women, of course, the American women, are brutalized by illegals raping and killing them horribly. The stories are repeated again. She doesn't care about that at all. At all.
And they are monsters. They are human beings as well, but they have forgotten that they're human beings. And
this is law enforcement doing its job to protect you, Molly Ringwald. Is it the cops doing their job to protect you? And you call them monsters because it looks icky when they have to do their jobs to you.
They have become monsters.
By the way, I'm going to borrow their Nazi metaphor and just say that ladies like this are the kind of people who lived in the town around Auschwitz and convinced themselves that nothing bad was happening. It's not a far stretch at all.
Please don't let yourself become like that. Please remember your humanity.
Dickhead, can you make sure that the representative you vote for votes for laws that you agree with, so that when we have to execute the laws, your feelings aren't hurt?
Think about your kids. Think about your grandkids.
Oh, being lectured to. Can you imagine you're being lectured to by this lady? This husk, waste of time.
Think about your sister and your brother. These are all people.
I know. I'd rather have them not killed by some drunken illegal, okay? Or some horn dog illegal who decides to chase down a jogger, bash her head with a rock, and rape her.
Who have kids or fathers or mothers or aunts and uncles and people who love them.
Okay, well, you're a collaborationist, whatever it is, collaborationist. That's right. Whatever. I won't do that to you anymore. Let me see what else I've got here on the docket. We've already talked about Vrabel. This is great. Cheryl Cowan, 57 years old. This is part of the USAID firings. This is in the New York Times, of course. Cheryl Cowan, 57, was making $272,000 a year as a senior VP at a USAID-funded nonprofit. So in other words, they gave her nonprofit money, American taxpayer money. USAID gave it to her nonprofit. She was pulling in $272,000 a year. Why is she not in jail? At a USAID-funded nonprofit when she was let go at the end of March 2025. Last month, she had an online interview for a $19 an hour job managing a Penzeys Spices store in Falls Church, Virginia. And there's a whole bleep load of these stories now with all these USAID people and the people who work for the nonprofits who have now been shut off can't find jobs anywhere because they have no skills, and it's all been a grift. It's freaking one of the best things. I think I tweeted it out. Yeah, I did. I retweeted it. There's so many stories like this. It's so good. God bless the Trump administration for that. That is excellent. By the way, are any of you guys in one of these grifts? Was it just me? Did I miss it? Okay. Dr. Cheswick. Why are these always women? Yeah, they are always women. Or beta men. Someone left a key in the door, Tom. That's how they got their country back. Yeah, no kidding. Poor Molly Ringwald. Yeah. I don't know Penzeys. Although I did go to I was in Portsmouth today, and one of those hot sauce places was there. But I'm made nervous by them for some reason. And why is it that Ace Hardware has a really good hot sauce selection? What is that? What is that formula? I don't know. All right, should we do the shot? Is it time for the shot? Let me see. Oh, good. Okay, let's do the shot. Alice is gone. She's driving one son who had an allergic reaction today, so he was in the emergency room. Who knew? I was in Portsmouth, and I fed him. I got him a burrito, and it had mole on it. And who knew mole is made of effing peanuts? I had no idea. So anyway, because he had a near-death experience today, he is now being rewarded with a trip up to get Neatos, they're called. Some squishy kid thing that 10-year-olds love. It's just totally the waste of time and money, but he earned it through his ailment, I guess. And then she's getting my daughter at Fauntleroy. I'm not this fat. This is not an accurate picture. I'm losing weight. Alice even said so. All right, you ready? Yeah, everybody.
Billy from Manchester. You know what's insulting is you had this ex-con radio,
hey, Billy.
Fawn Leibowitz on, and he talks about abortion. He talks about how he was pro-life, he's pro-choice, and you kind of yes him, whatever. You don't challenge him on anything.
Well, if Billy, the libertarians are all pro-choice, so I didn't want to challenge him on his tenets of libertarianism.
It's fine because you're dumb. But then he mentions that he wants it to be not a constitutional right. It shouldn't be a constitutional right to have an abortion. And when Dobbs actually kind of said that and took abortion off the board as being federally funded and not a constitutional right, you don't challenge the guy. So he wants it, but he doesn't want it. But he wants it, but he hates Trump.
No, well, he's saying that I think he was talking about Roe, that he didn't think Roe should have been have made it a constitutional right. Saying that abortion was somehow a right of privacy. I think that's what he was saying, that it shouldn't have done. That it should have been, if there had been legislation, that's one thing. But I think he disagrees with Roe.
Because he did it, but he doesn't know why. This guy's a friggin' moron. You're a moron. This show stinks.
No.
I don't know what to do. And the other thing is, open the box. You might want to open that box. You got 5 seconds left. Tom from Thomaston gets one. 58 seconds.
Okay, Tom, I need your address then, if I don't already have it. Maybe I can do that this weekend. Everybody's talking about...
Hey, Tom. Thomaston here. Hey, a good guess would be, and I'm old, I'm drawing a brain cramp. The guy used to have on the 1 to 2 o'clock time on Friday that talked about everything, computers. Just very knowledgeable
George.
And very funny. And you and his rapport was very good together. You should have him on. I forget what his name is.
Yeah. His name is George Capalbo. I had him out actually on when I was filling in for Howie. I had him on that Friday. Yeah, go check that out. I had him on that Friday. He was great. George. I love talking to George. He is a good friend. He's an interesting guy. He's a science he's as a scientist as Bill Nye the Science Guy is. George is just less annoying. But okay, I'll have Capalbo on. He's been on, I'm pretty sure he's been on the Burn Barrel before. But I'll have him on again. I do like him when he takes calls, though. So we'll have to let you know beforehand so you can leave chat messages for him. Because I always liked when Tim and Kent would call when I'd have him on and things.
Hey, Billy from Manchester.
Hey,
I'm
Billy.
forcing myself to listen to this
Thank you.
Leibowitz one again because it's just so horrifying and so bad. But I figured it out. There's the worst type of people in the world. It's ex-cons or cons at the time, convicts who get educated for the first time in prison. These are the worst people. I hate these people. They're the worst. 25 seconds.
So, Billy, I don't know necessarily that I think that Michael belongs in that category, but I do agree that category is a bad category of people generally. Just getting up educated for the first time, it's a tough one. But then again, half the country is just getting educated on politics, and they're clueless, too. Everybody's talking about it.
I'm starting to think that there's an uncured patch of fresh concrete in the basement of that house. It's probably about 5 feet 4 inches long, right, and maybe 2.5 feet wide. And Alice, all of her children have been told that she's on a work trip.
You wouldn't be the only one to think that. Although I don't think I could beat Alice in a fight. But no, Alice is alive and ticking. I just saw her. I told you she let me kiss her today, which is really cool. I like that.
I just can't. I cannot wait for this guy to get popped again. It's going to be so great because he's a degenerate. Oh, I can't wait. I hate this guy so much. I had to listen to this thing again. It's terrible. You're terrible too. I hope you both go to jail. This is just awful. I hope you guys get clipped for something. It's going to be fantastic. But this guy is definitely going back. He is a repeat offender. It's going to be fantastic. In about 6 months, he's going to get popped for cocaine or something like that. It's going to be great. Selling it with a gun in his pocket again. This idiot. 35 seconds.
That was great, Billy. There's a certain kind of guy who can use the word clipped as a verb in a very believable way, and you are that guy, Billy. Not bad. By the way,
Tom,
how good would jail be for me? Lose weight, there's no eating, drinking, and all the other gluttonous things I do. God, I need to go to jail. It'll be good for me.
Tom Thompson here again.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, this Southern poverty thing, it's just
SPLC. Yeah,
it's another example of how power and money corrupt.
Yeah,
I can remember them in high school, 76, 77, 78, graduated 78. They really did go after the Ku Klux Klan.
Sure.
And they were so good at it. They made enough noise that they kind of knocked out the damn group. And I think that was the beginning of their downfall.
Yeah.
They had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So they had to invent crap.
Totally.
And then, of course, in the 80s or in the 90s and beyond, they became just another left-leaning organization. So money and power corrupts. It probably would even corrupt you.
Yes, it would. I was talking today to Steve Robinson. We were talking about all these scams and things that are out there. I'm like, somebody give me a scam. I want USAID money. I want to make $280,000 a year doing absolutely nothing. I absolutely want that in a second. Please, God. Yes, please. Somebody offer me corruption money, and I will change my tune in an absolute second. No problemo. Thank you, everybody. Great to talk to you again. Great week. I appreciate your support. I know it's a bit of a change without Alice. We'll see what happens. Believe me, it wasn't my vote. And but I appreciate you, especially also people who subscribe to Patreon. That is excellent. I really appreciate that. And as usual, the chat. Please leave more messages. I love you guys. See you later.
C'est la vie.